All right. Hey, everyone. Hey, it's time to talk about Jay-Z. It is time to talk about Hova. I think it's been clear for a minute that Jay-Z is going to be rolling out something new very soon. We talked about that interview that he did out of the blue, where he was talking about a host of different things, some of which were agreeable, some of which were disagreeable. I will say for the purposes of this video, the point that stuck out maybe the most was that he seemed very against the idea of battling, of diss tracks, continuing to be a thing in hip hop music, which again, very strange, very weird. Not only because, you know, the competitive nature of hip hop, I would say, as somebody who's been listening to the genre for a very long time, is something that is like really truly at the root of the style. Also very weird considering that prior to the 2020s, you could probably argue that the biggest rap battle of all time had involved Jay-Z. Maybe at the end of the day, it didn't end up being to his benefit because, you know, public opinion kind of rules that Nas was the one who got, you know, the better of that situation. But still, Jay-Z coming out in that interview, feeling like battling, diss tracks, so on and so forth, not really having a place into the future. Which, you know, maybe you could say he must genuinely feel that way because for years and years and years and years and years, people have been kind of shitting on Jay-Z, and he has been pretty silent on it for a long time, especially Nicki Minaj. Nicki Minaj has had, if you follow her social media, an insane energy for Jay, especially on Twitter. Which he has been very silent on. And, you know, look, there are a lot of things that like sometimes about the way that Jay-Z comments on certain things or moves in the industry that I'm not like a super massive fan of, but I do like a lot of the man's music. I think he's made some amazing classic records over the years. And what I am even happier here to report is that he is out here at this Roots Picnic live performance, which again, I sort of anticipated this would be another part of this very slow, progressive inching that we're making towards some kind of new album, some kind of new something. And he is causing a stir with a freestyle that he dropped a cappella in the midst of the performance, where he's throwing a lot of bars and a lot of, I wouldn't even say subliminals, because the people who he's talking about, while he's not mentioning all of them by name, are pretty fucking obvious. You know, some of the clearest of them being Nicki Minaj, which we will get into, Drake, which we will get into, and Kanye West, which we will get into. I believe we have the full freestyle here. That is at least what this page here on Twitter is saying. I've seen like all of the different clips of it separately. The audio quality of this one, the first few seconds that I tried it seemed decent. Hopefully it is all here. So let's give this a listen and see who the barbs are getting thrown at, see the comments that he makes, and just get kind of his own perspective here.
Hattie's turning 100. If she would have transitioned before I cleared my name, I would have hunted them. Every one of them playing these silly games. That 1-800 ambulance chaser would have wished one came. But 911 is a joke. Public enemy #1, I've been ranked. The rock's not crumbling. The leprechauns have met. Okay, let's stop there. First off, obviously first run of bars there, working backwards. Very fun, very great Public Enemy nod there. But obviously that sort of seems to be him kind of pulling apart the lawsuit that was leveled against him. Yeah, I'm not here to comment. Listen, as a bald man, I'm not here to comment on Jay-Z's hair. I'm bald. I don't know anything about hair. As far as I'm concerned, anybody with more than an inch of hair on their head, follically, is dead to me. That doesn't mean I don't mess with your music. You know, that doesn't mean I don't like your art. But like on a scalp to scalp level, we're just not the same. The rock's not crumbling. The leprechauns have magically run out of pranks. Your son on a federal jail line mumbling something about having too much in his drink. You know how dumb that is? Another one fumbled his, wonder how I get the blame. Niggas' teeth is tumbling out their mouth and somehow I'm the one who done it. It's a murder mystery game. All right, so
Listen, there's a lot, unless you've been paying attention to a lot of the rap discourse on social media and just all the ins and outs of all of these different like accusations and controversies and conspiracy theories, like some of this is kind of hard to follow. But the thing is, like, there is a lot of notable discourse. And I know that not everybody is like subjected to this. I was actually reminded of this recently because of a headline that just came out where a judge had said that around the Tory Lanez Megan Thee Stallion shooting, people on Tory's team went out to sort of pay bloggers to post certain things, push certain narratives in order to create this, you know, well of disinformation around the story, which very much worked. The moment that I saw that story and I saw the allegations and I saw just sort of like the baseline elements of the story, I had some skepticism of, you know, Tory having had nothing to do with it, like tons of skepticism that Tory had nothing to do with it. And I feel like this was further confirmed when I saw all of these blogs coming out with this narrative uniformly that Megan was a liar and da-da-da-da-da. And it's like, where's this story coming from? Who's having these platforms post these stories? Who's driving this narrative in the court of public opinion in order to sort of like save Tory's ass before we know the full elements of the story? Because a lot of these bloggers and a lot of these like, you know, faceless internet music posters didn't have any more information on the story than you or I did, but they were already sort of like very quickly, all in the same day, super aggressively, like pushing this narrative that like whatever comes out or whatever's happening, Megan's lying about it. And as a result of that, we need to distrust anything coming out of her mouth instantaneously. That to me, you know, and sort of seeing the allegations that I did when I had my opinion on the matter, from Tory Lanez, from people in his camp, that like the only reason I must be saying what I'm saying or be skeptical of Tory in any way is because I'm getting paid to believe that Tory Lanez shot Megan, even though to me, again, like it seemed like pretty plain as fucking day. There are a lot of conspiracy theories in that same circle where people will sort of like allege the reason that Tory Lanez is in jail is because of Jay-Z. Like there are people, if you see a story about Tory Lanez to this day on social media, will throw out the allegation just really casually like, oh, Jay-Z's the one who put Tory in jail. Tory would be free now if not for Jay-Z. And it is true. Like Jay-Z and Megan Thee Stallion do have like functioning business connections together. And, you know, oftentimes when Megan is making some good money, Jay-Z's making some good money too. But unfortunately, in my opinion, it is insane to go as far as to be like, yeah, the reason Tory Lanez is in jail is because of Jay-Z. Tory Lanez is in jail because of Tory Lanez. And look, I'm not here to sort of like save Jay-Z or take a bullet for Jay-Z, or some would say like, you know, cape for Jay-Z. I feel like there's a lot of valid reasons to criticize Jay-Z. You know, looking at some of the Rock Nation business dealings, the way that he has treated some artists over the years that are under him, his proximity to figures like R. Kelly during points in his career where he was up to some really like crazy, shady shit. But unfortunately, I feel like a lot of the discourse around Jay-Z is so conspiracy minded and so Illuminati coded and so insane and so off the rails. All of this bullshit and all of this insanity makes it difficult to have a serious conversation around Jay-Z, and actually kind of like makes it easier for him to come on this stage here, because a lot of his biggest detractors and a lot of the people who are attacking him are not only attacking him for the worst reasons and in the worst ways, but we're also talking about like some of the biggest, most erratic and most annoying pieces of garbage that are existing in the music industry today. Jay-Z deserves better competition. And yet he doesn't have it. So he's actually able to kind of come up here in this freestyle and with just a shotgun blow away fish in the barrel, because like his competition really is that lowly and that unimpressive and that dumb.
You had to cash cow and thunk it. What you punked is, I'm the one who struck the pain. That hill you can die on. It's way too much flack that comes from those planes. I'm killing them softly What's understood don't need to be explained. You want it one way, it's the other. I still on you suckers, I'm all of you niggas gang. I ain't much for meetings, no how. Cancel the brunches, I remember the hunger pain.
Okay, wait, I'm letting a lot of lines go here. Even though he's dropping a lot of good shit. A lot of people are saying that much of this is aimed at Dame Dash, which given their business dealings and how all of that went south, that's not really surprising. But I love the Lauryn Hill and Fugees tie-ins that come after that with the Hill to Die On line, Strumming the Pain is crazy fucking shit.
It's no how. Cancel the brunches, I remember the hunger pain. Price of the bricks going up. It's gonna cost you a beat to even say my name.
It's going to cost you a beat to even say my name, Beyonce reference. But there is that famous, sort of like hip hop discourse discussion meme on social media that we see constantly about like, would you rather have $500,000 or have lunch with Jay-Z or have an hour to talk to Jay-Z, so on and so forth. So, I mean, it makes sense. And yes, it is true. Billionaires are not our friends. Billionaires are not our friends, but Jay-Z was not our friend anyway. We're not pretending to be friends with Jay-Z. We're not having a parasocial moment. We're just enjoying a freestyle.
My children is some of them. Have you niggas no shame? Y'all trying to get under skin?
Jay-Z defending his own children there. Have you heard of a wonder kid? My children are some of them, as you should as a dad. Something that really has like kind of stuck in my craw over the past year or so is just the insane narrative that Ye put out there on social media over Jay-Z's kids, which like, regardless of how you feel about Jay, is just fucking crazy. And again, regardless of what you think about Jay-Z, criticisms abound for sure. His kids don't deserve any of that. That's crazy. Like there's nothing that Jay-Z has ever done or said that would require anybody to sort of talk about his children in that way.
I really get under skin as unharmed player.
Apparently that's in reference to a very old beef that he had going on with the stabbing motion. Getting under someone's skin is pretty nasty work.
Y'all thugs with y'all thumbs again. Everybody think they're the ones insane. You're no maniac. Watch how saniac in my presence, nigga, shrink. I need a new therapist. This shit is not working. I'm truly on the brink.
Those are some pretty brutal Ye responses. And it's not even like the Nazi stuff. It's not even, making fun of the idea that he's like sort of nuts in the way that a lot of people I know, recently have. Jay-Z's opinion, and again, he puts it in a very smart, witty, poetic way. Jay-Z's opinion is like, this guy's not fucking crazy at all. Or at the very least, when he's around me personally, and these are guys who have had hours and days of time together. When he's in my presence personally, he knows how to act. Yeah, we can say that's not how bipolar works and so on and so forth. Like we can have these discussions all the time, but I feel like we are hearing the perspective of somebody here who helped put Ye on and knows him on a very personal level that you or I will never, ever know either of these guys. So I feel like there is like, a grain of salt to take with what he's saying here. There's a bit of, I think like, weight to what he's saying here. I do feel like there is an understanding and an acknowledgement that when it comes to Jay, he could probably or should only probably push it so far. There's something there in terms of their connection, in terms of their association.
Y'all better not encourage him. Y'all don't want me to think these thoughts that I think. That nut ass nigga still stuttering. That chatty patty down on his luck again. Quest introducing me to Jaguar. I don't know why I still fuck with him.
I like that funny little jab at Questlove. It shows that Jay-Z, in the midst of sort of throwing out this vitriol and having these like, genuine shots at people who have wronged him or have pissed him off, he can have like a funny little aside where he's also given somebody some shit, but it's like, there's like some love and appreciation there as well. I love this look on his face. He knows how ridiculous he's being right now, and he's trying not to even laugh at his own joke. He's laughing behind the drums. Another thing that like this reminds me of is like all the discussion around, again, that Iceman has opened up around sort of like the beef between Drake and Kendrick and where that originated, and people kind of like going back to the Control verse and a lot of the rappers who are named in the Control verse having more or less, positive reactions to it, or even feeling like flattered to a degree to even be mentioned in that way. And even listening to it again myself, like hearing Kendrick Lamar go at these figures and mention them in a way that's like simultaneously aggressive, but also being like, I have love for you, really feels more like an acknowledgement of you as my peer versus like, I really fucking hate you. And then some artists who were mentioned in that respect had that reaction. Then Drake sort of seemed to really take it fucking personally. And I feel like if you don't really have the ability to read the room, maybe a bar like that would read to you the wrong way or feel like, wow, why would he mention it? Why would he say that about him? When it's like, he's just actually just being funny. Like not everything is coming at you in a super aggressive way where you have to like go over the top and get like in your feelings about it and take it personally. And again, many sort of like say that verse was sort of like the beginning of the end in terms of like Drake and Kendrick having weird static and negative feelings toward each other.
That lady back on the stuff, she sound like she in love with him. Her kid can't even take their kids. Enough of them.
Okay, I think that lady is Nicki Minaj. She's back on that stuff, saying her can't take her kid, and then just not even finishing the line, and then enough of them. It's like, you know where it's going. You've heard the joke. You know the statement. You know the restrictions on her significant other's movements, and that's a very funny, classy way of, I think, addressing it.
A rapper can't be my eye. I got MAGA Republicans. Them shots came from the very top of the government. Good luck with them. I'm governed by God. You trying to break the government. Brain for 40 days. My neck get flooded again. Wrist get flooded again. My net worth went up again. My next update, the jig is up.
Okay. Before we go any further, it should be noted, but the number one song in the country right now, I believe is the number one song in the country not still Janice STFU? I know it was for a moment. Is it still this week? And there is a Jay-Z bar on that track with Drake literally saying the jig is up because, clearly with this new album cycle, he broke one of Jay's commercial records, and him and everybody in his camp have been really like celebratory about that. In fact, you could find academics melting down online on behalf of Drake over this freestyle. If you wanted to read that bullshit, it's dumb and unhinged. And Drake can send out as many disses and subliminals as he wants at all times, every day, nonstop, over and over and over and over and over again. He can make as many enemies as he wants in the music industry. But the moment anybody even responds for like a little bit, a smidge of a response, it's because they're insecure and they're crazy and they're this and they're that. Like, Drake can attack anybody he wants, but anybody who does anything in response, that they're instantly in the wrong. That's the number one OVO rule. Never forget that. And I think, obviously Drake has some ill will toward Jay-Z, because I think he sort of sees Jay-Z as being very much in support of Kendrick in the midst of the beef, was clearly a part of the reason why Kendrick was on that Super Bowl stage performing Not Like Us, So, I mean, we all know at this point that on a regular basis, Drake wakes up in a cold sweat in the middle of the night, dreaming about Kendrick Lamar performing that song on that stage. And in the middle of the dream, Kendrick Lamar gets bloodshot eyes and big fangs and goes, and then Drake like wakes up and he goes,
Got up 10, wrong chart, champ. You gotta look up again. Niggas look up the Hove. I never looked up to them. Got your publishing gangster, go talk tough to them. Don't talk success to me, you niggas is workers. In perpetuity's how your contract is worded. Don't make me go man.
If anything, Drake kind of deserves that a little bit, because he was the one on push-ups just being like, oh, come on, guys, drop. What are your deals looking like? Your deals aren't as impressive as my deal. Jay-Z seems to have some insight, though. And, in terms of like having liquid cash and having more command over his like actual music and his catalog. Like, unfortunately, Drake is not in the position that Jay-Z's in. Even with Drake having as much money as he does and having as much success as he does, he's still very much like, you know, his music is owned by UMG, man. Like he can rage against Lucian all he wants. Like, you know, that's not going to fucking change anything. He's locked into that, you know, his albums, his music, his publishing, it's locked into that contract. Unless he starts like shelling out some dough or taking some of that stake money and turning it around and investing it and buying his shit back. He's not going to be owning that stuff for a long time.
The roots remember, even when the trees pretend, not too much of my name. Don't forget who I am. Hattie loves her Shawnees, S-H-A-W-N. I find it adorable she put the S at the end. You don't know, the show ain't even begin. I said, you don't know, the show ain't even begin.
Look, again, like I said, I thought this performance was going to be a bit of a triumphant moment for Jay-Z. And it seems that it is. This little freestyle alone is just drawing so much conversation and so much discourse. And I hope that it is leading to a new album cycle. And I hope whatever this album cycle is, Jay-Z maintains this kind of energy. Not that I think he needs to spend the entire record like, you know, tearing down Drake, tearing down Nicki Minaj, But I do think in a lot of ways, Jay-Z is backed into a corner a little bit. Backed into a corner with the criticisms of him, backed into a corner with a lot of people sort of like doubting him and writing him off. And I feel like a record where he kind of comes forward and reminds people of his talent and reminds people of how ridiculous and preposterous some of his opponents are out there today, could do a lot of good and could be a really interesting listen. Honestly, you know, again, as much as I decry the fact that like all these conspiracy theories and all this insane negativity make it difficult to have an honest conversation around Jay-Z. And I hope this album cycle is as bullshit free as possible in terms of like crummy singles or statements about whether or not dissing or battling is valid in hip hop anymore. I think that's such a silly statement. But I'm glad that Jay-Z has had a little bit of a fire lit under his ass with this acapella and is turning some heads and reminding people of like what actual good pen game sounds like some bars that you actually need to replay a couple of times and like analyze a little bit, like not the surface level third grade reading level nonsense we were hearing for the most part on Iceman. Yeah. And I think I will, leave it there.